Hello friends, it's Laura with How's It Growing, and I'm standing in front of a brand new, newly designed garden area, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. So in this video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my plans for this space, how it changed from last year, and just, how the garden evolves. Even if we don't plan on it, one thing kind of leads to another and leads to another, and sometimes that's a good thing. And in this case, I think it was a good thing. So last year, my husband Mark and I put together this kitchen garden, potager, veggie garden, whatever you prefer to call it. He built some simple raised beds here. And our reasoning for doing that was we wanted to really tie two spaces together. We've got the greenhouse on one side, we've got the potting shed on the other, and really they kind of felt disjointed. We had raised beds over in what used to be our driveway area over here, you may remember, and that was all fine and well, but it always still had a very long driveway feel and appearance to it. And aside from that, we have a large maple on our neighboring side that, despite a crown reduction my neighbor had done years ago, the shade was really pouring in and covering the vegetable garden. This area gets all the light, bright, perfect for a vegetable garden. So we built some raised beds, we trimmed it out with some edging, we put some gravel down in there, and it was wonderful last year, but it always felt a little, I don't know, not private enough, not like its own space. So I really love the, when you think of a cottage garden, you think of a white picket fence. So last year I left it as it was. I didn't want to add anything. I just wanted to sit with it and feel it and feel the space a little bit. And then ultimately I did decide, yes, I'd love to have a picket fence back, but not something heavy, intimidating, blocking, something that would just very gracefully be a backdrop to plants and let the plants tell the story while just a couple little fence panels add that charm. We picked up just 2 fence panels and installed them within an hour. And really the most difficult part was just making sure everything was level and in line. So an hour for both of these panels. No concrete. These panels actually have like a galvanized rod in the end posts, and then you just sink those down into the ground. And it's sturdy, it's not going anywhere, and it gives that look that I really wanted. So as I was saying in the beginning, you know how one thing then turns to another. Well, once these fence panels were up, I put these boxwoods, which I love. They look terrific here flanking the fence. But then I thought, well, if I'm gonna have the fence, I think I should maybe have an arbor. I did not want another heavy vinyl plastic structure. I wanted this. I wanted something that was going to blend in. The plants would be the focal point. I have 2 clematis on this arbor right now, and it's got kind of like a rusty kind of faux patina to it, and I like that. It also has a diamond patterning on it, which I intentionally did because it matches the diamond patterning on the trellis on our fence. So the plan was starting to come together. I was really feeling it. I was really happy with it. And last year I planned on planting some flowers in this space, but I couldn't really figure out how. It was just open, and you walked from grass to vegetable garden. And even though I had dug out some curved beds, I just felt like everything would have felt random. And now this fence gives me a purpose, a division. I love it. I'm so happy with it. So now I really want to tell you about my thoughts for the plants. So thank you to Southern Living for sponsoring this video and sending me a few new plants to my garden for this area to share with you guys and show you how they grow over the season, and hopefully inspire you and give you some ideas for your own gardens this season as well. I am loving these plants. So with the addition of the Southern Living plants, I'm going to get my tags so I can go over them with you. I want to talk to you also about some things I incorporate in mostly every new garden I create, and talk to you a little bit more about that. In order to do that though, I'm going to flip the camera around and kind of get up close and personal with the plants so that you can have a better look at those. I'm loving this space so very much. You know that feeling when you finally accomplish something that's you've been imagining, and you think, this is it, this is right, this is what I have been trying to get to. Sometimes it's difficult to get there. Oh, also, by the way, you'll notice a great big gaping hole here. We are finally refacing the shed. So we are working on that. We are in the process of getting a whole facelift on the shed, and I think it's going to look absolutely beautiful, but I'll share more about that when we get to that. All right, so in this garden, I have sort of like the phrase something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. That really applies to this garden, and most gardens I create because I love blue and I love all of those elements together. So I'll explain what I mean. So let's start with something old. Okay. Something old would be this little hosta here. This came from my mom and dad's garden. I have these little hostas and little divisions from my parents' garden all over my own garden, because for me, that is what makes a garden truly speak to my heart, make me feel connected to it. So if you can, if you can dig up some plants, I think this would also fall into the borrowed category, even though I don't think my mom and dad are ever going to see these hostas again. If you can borrow plants from a friend, from a neighbor, from a family member, it's just a really special thing to do. And it gives such a good feeling. And to see them come back every year. I mean, these hostas were in my parents' garden, still in my parents' garden, were there when I was little, growing up. I also have some coral bells from their garden mixed in and about and all around. And it's just, that's gardening. That is gardening to me. It just gives me such a great feeling. So that's the something old. Let's talk about the something new. Okay, so getting to some of these new plants. These are the plants that I'm going to show you from Southern Living. I'm going to start with this one here. This is called Saucy Wine Salvia, and it has the most rich and beautiful color. My friend Brandon actually had some of these, and when he decked out his greenhouse for his garden wedding, and they looked so beautiful in this dark, like burgundy color. And you can see as it starts to bloom out, it has these beautiful tubular flowers that the hummingbirds just love. Well, what you want to do to keep this one getting bushy, putting out more blooms all the way until frost, because this will last you until that point, is you want to be sure to deadhead. Remove those spent blooms. So this one's starting to fade. You can see the lower half and the little pieces dropping here. So I'll just show you what I do right now. I don't use any tool. I just use my fingers here, and these snap off so easily. And then that is going to encourage, do you see that these new leaves here? That encourages branching. Now 2 new stems will grow off from that area and put out even more of this beautiful salvia. This is a butterfly candy. This one is little lavender. And look at the colors on that with the little yellow in the center. I love it so much. So this one I am particularly excited about because I have some other butterfly bushes in my garden that have gotten completely out of control, as butterfly bushes can and will do. Swallow up your whole garden. This one stays nice and petite. This one will be 2 to 3 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet wide again, just like that Saucy Wine Salvia. So this one is going to rebloom from spring through summer. You can shear these back. You can remove the bent blooms, and I will do that because I like to tidy up my plants. But it has just got this beautiful, fresh, silvery new growth, which I think is so pretty. And then it turns to the light green, kind of minty color. So pretty. Love that plant. And then we've got Moody Blues, dark blue Veronica. That's this plant here. Again, you can see the spent bloom here, which I'm just going to pinch out. I always hope I can do that gracefully on camera, but it's going to send out new stems. See these fresh new blooms right here? This is a great one for when you're planting your garden. You want to use plants that have multi-season interest. You hear people say this all the time, and it's so true. So the Veronica is definitely an earlier bloomer, and then the salvias will pick up and start to bloom when the Veronicas are starting to fade out in the summer. And then finally, I saved my favorite for last. This is Indigo Frost, Agapanthus, and I am obsessed with this plant. I've actually styled this in another area of the garden that I'm going to show you too, because I just think it is that beautiful. So Agapanthus is not generally super hardy in my zone. I just recently got moved up to kind of like 7B8. So it's getting a bit warmer here in my area, but this one is hardy zone 7B to 10. So I am going to have good luck with this particular Agapanthus coming back for me year after year, which I am exceptionally excited about. The color on this is wonderful. You can see this new bud. This one is just starting to open, and this one is faded. Now, if you want to keep this plant blooming, it is recommended to remove the spent blooms. So taking that bloom stalk all the way down. So I hope some of these new introductions into my garden have inspired you to check them out. I'll put links to these down below. It's not affiliate links, but again, I'm very thankful to Southern Living for providing me with these plants, and they're just gorgeous, and I think you'll love them too. Now, a couple other things that I add to this space that's always like a recipe for a garden that I'm creating. I always have to have Salvia. So this is Salvia caradonna. This one will come back for me, and it's got really dark, beautiful stems that I just think are super, super beautiful in and of themselves. I also divided up some Helen von Stein stackies, lamb's ear, and the silver foliage on this plant with the silvery foliage of the butterfly bush, I think looks so beautiful. And this particular lamb's ear does not send up bloom stalks. So it's just a foliage plant, and it is so beautiful. And then another thing I like to incorporate in all of my gardens is something that I planted from seed. I don't go nuts doing tons of seeds anymore. I plant things from seed that I know that I want in my garden that I can't find elsewhere. So this is a profusion double white zinnia, and it's more a very compact little bushy zinnia that's great for the front of a border. Wait until you see. I know it doesn't look like much now, but these are going to fill in with beautiful double white flowers, and I am very excited about that. So I love to incorporate something I planted from seed in my gardens. And then it is a white echinacea, and it is a little reseeded seedling from my echinacea in a different border. So I dug up one of those and I put it in here. So with all of those elements, back to the something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, which I think is just such a cute way to think about it. Super excited about this space, you guys. I love it. And then of course, every garden that I create has to have boxwoods. So let me invite you into this area, to this new area. These bamboo stakes are merely serving the purpose of me not traipsing through here, because I direct sowed some zinnia seeds and I don't want to step on them. You can even see they're starting to come up in here. I've got some native Echinacea purpurea purple, which I transplanted from another area of the garden, and it is really one of my favorite native plants. Absolutely love that one. And some dahlias I planted. That's what the stakes are for, the dahlias. And then I just repeated the same thing on this side as well. So we've got some dahlias and some zinnias. We've got that Echinacea purpurea. And then I've got clematis here. I'm really feeling that this space is coming into its own, and I am super duper happy with it. It feels very complete. And I should also mention, when you're planting a garden, and I've made very, very careful to make sure that when I designed this, that there was room, make sure you don't block yourself. You don't want to be penned in or having to go all around the bend to get in or out of a space. Easy access. I'm able to skirt through there to get to the greenhouse or to get to that flower bed. I'm able to exit through here. This is a little dicey, but if I wanted to, I could make it happen. And if not, then I just step out here. Plant tags galore over here now. I just step out here and I can crisscross this way. very, very important, because when I had the fence coming along here before, we could never get through. It was a solid fence, and I always had to walk up the path all the way around, and it was just really frustrating when you are trying to carry tools or wheelbarrows or whatever. Don't block yourself in. Maybe I'll have to do a garden, like a full garden tour, because everything is looking so beautiful right now. I hope this inspired you. I hope you're all out enjoying your gardens right now, and just getting out there, planting some things, enjoying some things you've already planted, borrowing some plants from people that you love, and just having a great day. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. I do this in every video. I'm back because I wanted to show you how I styled that Indigo Frost Agapanthus as the drama, the centerpiece, and the beautiful welcoming into the back garden. It looks so wonderful. So I don't usually do a spring design in my urn. I usually skip right to summer, but this year it worked out so well. I think I'm gonna just do this every year because it turned out so beautiful. I'm taken aback every single time I walk back here. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So this actually ended up being a happy accident. Quick story. This is a living wreath form. I was planning on making a living wreath for the greenhouse, but it ended up being too heavy and probably potentially too much of a mess with taking it down to water it. So I decided to use it as the centerpiece elevation for this urn, and look how that turned out. Now my pansies are starting to get a little stretched because they do not like the hot weather. But this has been here for so long now. I've been enjoying it so much, and I just lined this metal frame, this wreath form, with some preserved moss, and it just looks so great. You plant right into it. There's like a little burlap liner that goes inside, and you put your soil inside. And then of course, since it's a wreath form, the center is hollow, you know, so I'm able to then plant in the middle, which is exactly what I did. I put that Indigo Frost Agapanthus. You can see a new little bloom shooting up right there. It looks so wonderful, the color complement. And then I took a hosta. This is one of my own hostas. I didn't borrow this one. A hosta and another one of those lamb's ears, and just kind of filled it in and around to cover up so you wouldn't see like a hole there from where I planted the Agapanthus in the wreath form. But I am blown away by this particular urn design. I plan to keep the Agapanthus as the centerpiece in this urn all summer, even if the pansies frizzle out, which they will. I may shear them back and see if I can get them to bloom again, but it's getting quite hot and I'm ready to put something in here for summer. So those will remain the middle centerpiece, and then I'll see about what I can plant around the top. But that elevated look with the preserved moss, it just fits so well. It just fits so well on top of the urn. It was like it was meant to be. So some beautiful garden views happening right now, and I hope you all are enjoying your gardens again. And thank you once again for watching. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.